Hello and welcome to Lipotrim, the weight management program monitored by healthcare professionals. So this is a Lipotrim training webinar. Principles of Weight Management Part 1. This first of our webinars under this heading is there to help give an insight and the ability to use body mass index or BMI correctly, and to understand the principles behind it, where it came from, and how you can help your patient get excited about the weight loss that they're trying to achieve. And BMI can help do this. So what is BMI and what does it tell us? Well, BMI stands for body mass index, and BMI is a simple calculation using the weight of an individual and the height of an individual. So this particular person's weight, we're going to give an example here, and we're going to put this patient at 100 kilograms, say. Their height is 1.73 meters. So according to the body mass index calculation, what you do is you take the weight in kilograms, which is 100 kilograms, and you divide it by the height squared, and that's height times height. So 1.73 times 1.73 comes out at 2.99. So you divide the 100 by 2.99, that gives you the body mass index of 33.4 kilograms per meter squared. So a BMI of 33.4. But what does this value actually tell us? Well, BMI is categorized into different sections so that you can understand what BMI is telling you. And BMI of 20 to 25 is your normal range, so that's where we would ideally want every person to be. Underweight is below a BMI of 20. Anyone over BMI of 25 is classed as overweight, and anyone over BMI of 30 is classed as obese. So we have different categories to help everyone understand what BMI is. Now, in practice, using the calculator is fine, but what we find is that through our supplied BMI charts, this can be made a lot more simple and also bring the patient into the equation as well. So what we can do is we can supply you posters, we can supply you BMI charts, and it's good to have a BMI poster up in the pharmacy so that patients can see where they are. And this particular patient that we're using as a case study, their height is 5'8", which is 1.73 meters, as we've said, and we can easily then highlight off the BMI chart to only show the column which relates to the height of 1.73 meters. So any patient looking at this chart then can easily see where their height relates. Now we can also then take their weight, which is 100 kilograms, 15 stone 11 pounds equivalent, and we can look on the left hand side of the chart and we can find their row, and then we can block off the top end of the charts because we don't need to know how much weight they may well be for different BMIs above the weight they're presenting at. And then we can see the top end of this highlighted column, it simply shows the BMI of 33.4 as we've seen before with the calculation. What's interesting is that on the BMI chart you can then see easily the different coloration according to the different categories. So ideally we want the patient to be BMI of 20 to 25, which is green. Why does BMI matter? Well, let's have a look at this chart. This is a typical illustration of a relationship between the relative potential mortality and BMI. Effectively, it shows that as your BMI increases above that as we class as normal, i.e. between 20 and 25, your relative potential for ill health and mortality increases. We can see the same principle for when we are underweight. So the graph shows as well that as you go above 25, yes, your mortality increases, but also as you go below 20. And interestingly, between 21 and 23 BMI, we see the lowest level of mortality. So this is a really important couple of values. So whereas we think 20 to 25, ideally 21 to 23 being ideal. So again, why does BMI matter? Well, the World Health Organization uses BMI. They've been using BMI as a standard for recording obesity statistics since the early 1980s, so it's standing the test of time. They state that risks of coronary heart disease, stroke, type 2 diabetes, these all increase steadily with increasing body mass index. Raised body mass index also increases the risk of cancers, as we see here. There's quite a few listed. And overall, mortality rates increase with increasing degrees of overweight as measured by body mass index. So body mass index has a really big part to play to express what weight and excess weight does for your health. So let's delve a little bit further. So this particular research into type 2 diabetes risk looked at the BMI risk in different populations. So this particular chart shows that for different populations there is a varying degree of risk with BMI. So when we look at, say, a BMI of 30 being the obese category, we get a certain degree of risk associated. And if we extrapolate the line at BMI 30 so that we go through each different population, we see that for the white population, a BMI of 30 has a particular risk. When we look further down the line of this graph that we've plotted, then we see that for black populations, for Chinese populations, and then South Asian populations, the same level of risk occurs at much lower BMIs. So BMI matters even more for certain populations in terms of their health risk. So it's even more important for reducing the BMI, especially in the South Asian population. Now, we've looked at BMI of 21 to 23 in the previous chart, but on this chart as well, it shows that no matter what population you belong to, then the risk at 21 is the lowest. So why is BMI deemed not useful by some people? Well, let's take these American footballers as an example. These are highly paid, very fit athletes. They are extremely fit, they do a lot of exercise, and we understand that they have high muscle mass, that they have low body fat levels. We understand that they have a higher than average calorific need. But do these athletes fit into the BMI model? Well, looking back at life insurance data, life insurance companies looked into the data they had for a whole wealth of population and assessed it in terms of the relative risk according to the BMI. And what we found was that was done independent of the excess weight composition. So you had all manner of different shapes and sizes of people with different levels of exercise. We also have seen from research that American footballers show a reduced life expectancy. They have adverse health profiles later on in life. They do have this predictor of weight gain for their post-career health. So yes, absolutely, the athletes do fit into the BMI model. But it's really important to understand that in extreme athleticism, it's the weight loss itself, not fat loss, that's important. By reducing BMI for everyone to that which we should, then you reduce the relative risk to health. So setting weight loss targets using BMI. So we do think of setting targets for everyone, but what do we need to consider? Well, we need to consider what do we need to achieve to gain medical benefit? What do we need to achieve to reverse obesity? What do we need to achieve to have a healthy BMI? And what do we need to achieve to have an ideal weight for our health? So when we're looking at all these considerations, the most important consideration is medical benefit, and a 5% weight loss of initial weight is the threshold for gaining medical benefit from weight loss. So let's look at this initial target for gaining medical benefit. Remember, 5%. This patient was 100 kilos, so it's nice and easy. So this is a 5 kilo weight loss, that's 11 pounds. And as you'll see from the chart, the weight loss of 5 kilograms, which will give some semblance of medical benefit, doesn't drop them below the obese level. So let's have another look at a different target. So the initial target to reverse obesity. So we want this patient ideally to be below BMI 30. And for this particular patient, a total loss of just over 10 kilos, which is just under 2 stone, that would reverse their obesity. And that's going to have a really big effect. Now, to have an even bigger effect on their health, a positive effect on their health, we would like every patient to get into the healthy category. So this starts at BMI 25. So to get to there, we need a total loss for this patient of just over 25 kilos or 4 stone. Now, an ideal weight for health. We've already looked at this on the previous charts, whether it's for type 2 diabetes or as a general population. The ideal place to be for your health is at a BMI of around about 21. and this would take a total loss of around about 37 kilos, or just under 6 stone. For this individual patient, then we've got a big picture ahead of us. So we've got these individual targets, but their absolute maximum weight loss that we would allow, i.e. they wouldn't be allowed to go underweight at less than BMI 20, would be a 40 kilo loss. And that's just over 6 stone. So not an insignificant amount. Now you might think that this would take quite a while to achieve, and with traditional diets you are quite right, but using the Lipotrim program with predictable weight losses of 1 stone a month for females and 1.5 stone a month for males, you're looking at 6 months worth of dieting for females and 4 months worth of dieting for males approximately. So this is eminently possible, and in an ideal sense we want the patient to start where they start, and you would like them to get down to their ideal weight, and especially the ideal weight for health. So hopefully I've managed to get you excited about getting your patients healthy. Hopefully you can then use this knowledge on BMI, what it is, why we use it, and why it still is very, very important to use. Hopefully you will use that information to get your patients excited about getting themselves healthier than they are. Now we've got our helplines on this page as well. So we've got a free phone number for the UK, you've got a local rate number for Ireland, and thank you for watching. We will see you next time, and please add any comments to the videos and send in your comments via email, as we said on the initial webinar, and then we can always then target particular topics that you are more interested in. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.